But football without fans is not. You play a football match without fans, you're getting it. It can be the greatest game in the world. If there are no people there to watch it, it becomes nothing.
Into Johnston. Johnson. And a goal by Johnson. Larson. Oh, he's in. Henrik Larsson. That is sensational. Nakamura. He has done it. Isn't that just typical?
The game is over. The Rebels have won. Champions, that's who we are.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of the Jungle Gyms Tuesday TikTok. I want to say to the viewers, thank you very, very much for actually being patient enough with us. Get some fucking IT issues. Sorry about that. We don't know if it's sorted yet, but if you guys can hear echoes, then let us know. And I don't know. We'll get McGinty on it. We'll get Paddy and we'll get James in the building. Guys, how you doing? Did you have a good Halloween?
Aye, no bad, but Paddy, I think you're able to take your mask off now, mate.
Oh, cheeky fucker. Mate, that's the oldest one of the book got.
Aye, got to be done.
Aye.
Good. Red Scotland said that saying sounding okay. Paddy, do you want to talk away? You don't be feared to talk in case an echo transpires.
Yes, well, I called me Baldy Trucker, it's my fault. Aye, whatever it is. Hello, everybody, how are we? Good stuff, aye. Sounds fine.
Aye. So again, welcome to the viewers. Thank you for being patient there and get your comments coming in. Let's hear for you. I hope you are all doing well, each and every one of you. Aye, so Tuesday, what is it to talk about? We've got Real Madrid tomorrow night. We'll see what happens there. We'll get your thoughts, your expectations, and also your feelings about having no Europe for the rest of the season. How does that sit with you? We heard the news about the Japan squad, so that's something to dissect. And we've got obviously the World Cup coming up, and of course we've got the January transfer window, and of course there's going to be ins and outs. So we're going to be talking about that revolving door at Parkhead and see what you think is going to happen. So the Japan squad, let's get to that one. So they have announced their squad rather quickly compared to the other nations. I think they whittled it down to roughly about 23, 25, something like that. And Ideguchi, of course, he was not going to be in it. Hatate, he's not in it. Kyogo, he's not in it. However, Daisen Maeda has made it. Now, I read the Dan Orlowitz comments, so anyone who's not familiar with him, he's an American journalist based in Japan who has turned into the kind of the go-to guy for all Celtic fans. And he kind of gave his thoughts on it. He said that the Japan team are quite, the way that they play football, they're kind of tiki-taka. And Kyogo doesn't quite fit that as far as his perspective is. Yeah. That's not a bad shout, mate. Not a bad shout. If you're getting compared to Hugh Jackman, I would fucking take that, mate. That's not bad.
Or if Hugh Jackman is getting compared to me.
Aye. So anyway, with the Japan team, apparently it's not quite suited to Kyogo's style, which we would obviously be affronted by. And I don't think many people would be surprised at Hatate not getting a call-up because he's barely featured in the Japan team anyway. We would hope that a strong start to this season would have earned him a call-up, but obviously not. Paddy, take it away. What's your thoughts?
Just a bit surprised, obviously, because Kyogo on paper appears to be the best player. But if you say, mate, if the manager's possibly made comments that he's going with a different kind of squad, a bit of cohesion, I know he's taken Maeda. I know he's taken the young fella that was at Arsenal some time ago, Asano. I know he's kind of another kind of pretty quick winger, inside forward type guy. So if they'd maybe went with somebody that's been a bit taller, a bit more powerful, I really don't know anything about the other fella. All I know he plays for Cercle Bruges, I think he's only scored like 5 goals this season. But he could be kind of a more physical guy. I really don't know. I would be lying if I'm fucking telling you anything else. But I definitely a bit of surprise at Kyogo, did they go? And I think as well as it's a surprise that Hatate wasn't picked. Whoever get picked in place of him in midfield must be some player. That's all I can say.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that McGinty had brought a Japan top. I don't know if he's going to be burning it right now because, James, you want to see your Celtic players representing in the World Cup. I remember when it was Henrik Larsson back in the day in the Euros and in the World Cup, and that was something to be proud of. You know, as I said, flying the flag for Celtic. But two of our kind of fan favourites, Hatate and Kyogo, they're not going to be there. We've got guys in Maida who will probably be a kind of a reserve striker. So a wee bit gutted. What's your thoughts on it? Are you really bothered?
Aye, you'd like to see them in the one home, wouldn't you? Something extra to watch in the World Cup, but then at the same time, get a good rest all that period, and obviously no needing to jaunt halfway across the world. But just while you were talking there, I've just brought it up my phone. I wasn't actually sure what Japan's group was for the World Cup, because I seen, like you're saying, the manager had said it was to do with his tactics, but they've got Spain, Germany and Costa Rica, so I suppose well, I'm saying that, I'm kidding on all the Japanese players, but I'd imagine it's a wee bit more a defensive team or defensive squad that he's picked, maybe try and shut up Shope a wee bit. But I think Hatate's kind of 50-50 whether he gets in the squad most times or no anyway, but I'd have Hatate in my team every day of the week, and obviously based off Celtic form, you'd take Kyogo or Maida every day of the week as well. So a wee bit gutted we'll not have a couple of extra players to watch during the World Cup. And I've got a Japan top sitting there and also we can burn them together.
Nice one.
I'm assuming then, James, since you saw the squad, that the reported possible January summer signing for Celtic, what's his name again? Yuki
Kobayashi.
Kobayashi, the centre back one, no the midfield one, because there's two with the same name and the same team. I take it he's not anywhere near the squad.
I don't think so, mate. To be honest, I didn't really keep an eye out, but I don't think so. I never seen it mentioned on Twitter or anything throughout the day. No.
As long as there's no Castori.
Mate, I don't have one Castori up there at all. These are all good tops. Good tops. Aye, Kobayashi then.
By the way, Gav, my apologies for butting in. Always nice to have a lovely comment for the ever presence, and one of our favourite guys, Red Scotland. James, you're a good addition to this team, mate.
Thanks a lot, mate. Appreciate it.
That's very kind. Just give him a few weeks. I'm only joking. Kobayashi then. Kobayashi. So a centre back for Vissel Kobe. Who played for Vissel Kobe? Was it
Kyogo?
Kyogo.
Yeah. Aye. Left-sided, a left-footed centre back. So you'd imagine that he would want to obviously occupy the position which Jens has currently got right now. A low-risk signing, which all of them have been so far. Paddy, you were good in The Greatest Showman minus the Hugh Jackman beard.
Was that the bearded lady? Is that what you're talking about? Like,
I've not seen that movie. It was a musical, wasn't it?
It's like a musical film type thing. It's like kind of circus freaks or whatever the term is you call it.
I'll say no more about the comparison there, Paddy. Sounds very appropriate.
Thank you. Great songs.
Aye, so I think whenever you hear about a centre back from Japan, there's always a stereotype about Japanese players not being quite physically tall or physically strong. Unless you think about that guy from Enter the Dragon, who Bruce Lee thought he was a bit of a unit. But I think there might be a bit stigma about a Japanese centre back. James, do you think that have you seen any clips of this guy?
Can't lie, mate. Even if there's I seen the news breaking, I haven't seen anything at all about him. But I was just going off the assumption that it maybe be brought in. I'm assuming the centre back pairing will stay either Carter Vickers and Jens or Carter Vickers and Starfelt when he's back, and this guy would maybe come in for a wee while and compete with Welsh. Probably an improvement on him, hopefully. But no, I mean, well, linked to that, was it Ko Itakura? And he seems to have done alright. It's Mönchengladbach he's went in it. He seems to have done alright. So, aye, nah, I'm happy enough with that. It's good to see he's been proactive as well.
By the way, Gav, see the fella you were talking about, Fent, or the Dragons. I thought you're talking about the wee hench guy.
No, he was massive, mate. He
Aye,
was tall and like a unit. It wasn't a wee guy.
Aye, big like biceps now.
I'm not going to say he was big all over because I don't fucking know that.
Well, I think if it's who I think you're talking about, he's actually Chinese.
Right. Okay. Thanks very much, Paddy. You've made my joke an offside joke. Thanks very much. It was on the border, but we just kicked it out of touch there. Thank you, mate.
We've just went for the casual racism route.
Aye. So if we go for this guy, Yuki Kobayashi, does that spell the end for Stephen Welsh, Paddy?
I don't know if it spells the end, but I certainly think if you ask a lot of people, even to the ones that are kind of more positive to Welsh and think he's a good player, I still think that the majority of folk out there would still say that we need to go possibly get better for the fourth choice position. Now, obviously, Vickers and Jens this season are the number 2 pairing. I don't think anybody will argue me on that. Starfelt would possibly be the number 3. And other than that, you've only got Stephen Welsh. So we definitely need some other option there. And I think if we do get this boy in, I don't know, mate. Do we send Welsh out on loan, or does this boy go out on loan? I really don't know. But I still think we definitely kind of beef up the squad in that area.
Well, I think Ange definitely sees a future for Welsh here anyway, as you say, whether it's out on loan, because it was it Udinese and then I can't remember, it was a French team, was it Lille or Rennes or something?
Toulouse, was it not?
Toulouse, couldn't, the French team anyway, they put the bids in, but obviously they were knocked back and he came out and kind of gave him a decent bit of praise, say they had a future here. So I don't know, maybe a wee loan move wouldn't be the worst thing for Welsh. I think he's alright. I think he gets a hard time yet. He's quite inconsistent, but I suppose he's still a young centre back, isn't he?
I'm going to pause that for a second. There's a bit of chatting about Kung Fu movies. I was a big fan of Jean-Claude Van Damme back in the day. I'm just going to say that. But back to Stephen Welsh. See, before the Real Madrid game at Parkhead, I was at the queue for the ticket office, and I was speaking to a cousin of Stephen Welsh, and he did say that you generally get much more criticism if you're a homegrown player. But the other thing that I actually asked him was, does he want to go abroad? And he said he's not being allowed. He wants to play football. He's desperate to play football. He understands that there's a couple of people above him in the pecking order right now. And Ange might like him and want to keep him around, but who wants to be kept around is the fourth choice, you know what I mean? And we've got comment there. I think it was Egyptian King. He was saying he might be good at a Hibs or an Aberdeen, perhaps. I'm sure Aberdeen would love to fill up their players with Celtic loanees, but you know, the guy's a young age and you need to be playing football one way or another. If we're going to see him see his potential, then you know the potential is not going to be fulfilled on the bench. He needs to go somewhere for us to find out if he's good enough or not. Like a Ryan Christie, you know, obviously a different position, but he made his mark in Aberdeen and we brought him back and look at him now.
And there is obviously the question as well, Gav, are we going to sign Jens on a permanent deal? Because he is on loan, you know, so could possibly Kobayashi be the replacement for Jens?
We need to sign Jens. I think I can't imagine it's going to be too much money. Who's it? Lorient? Is that the French name? The French team, aye? Mm-hmm. We have to. The guy is just slotted in very, very easily. He's not had too many howlers. I think everybody likes his height as well, which is something that he has over Starfelt. Enter the dragon, more like exit the dragon after waking up after a night out, waking up to a bird that you've pulled with beer goggles on. I'm sure we've all been there.
Who was that? Who was that said that, Gav? Feed the bear. Feed the bear, mate. The old saying is, the beauty is in the eye of the beer holder.
Very good, very good. I'm liking it. Aye, so we need to sign Jens, as you said. We can't let him go out. Like, he's loving it here anyway. He actually came out with an interview, I think it might have been today, where he said that whenever Matt O'Reilly signed for Celtic, he was actually jealous of him. And he said that there might have been a chance for him to sign for Celtic in the previous transfer window, but it never materialised. So I think he's really liking it. The fans have taken to him. He's doing very well as well. So I see no reason, no obstacle to come in the way of us making his signing a permanent transfer. So, James, if we did actually make him a permanent transfer, how hard do you think it will be for Starfelt to come back into the fold?
Well, I'm going to go totally against everything you've just said there. I think I'm still no sold on Jens. Similar to the way that I'm no sold on Starfelt. I don't know. Don't get me wrong, he's come in and he's slotted in brilliantly. But I just feel as if there's always a mistake in him. It's the same with Starfelt as well. I don't think there's much between them. Maybe I just give Jens on a nod. I would sign him, probably, I think. But I would look to get better in the window to come in and play beside Carter Vickers. A Carter Vickers clone, that would be ideal. If we can sign one of them, that'd be fine. But it just feels, I don't know if yous are the same. It just always feels to me as if Carter Vickers is solid. You know what you're getting every week. But whoever's playing beside him, be it Jens, Starfelt or Welsh, it can be a bit of a mixed bag. Don't get me wrong, with Jens recently it has been more good than bad. But it just always feels that Carter Vickers is your main man, he's your anchor, he's solid, and then playing beside him, as I say, it's a bit of a mixed bag. Could be good, could get a goal away, but overall, I'd say he's been solid enough.
That's a good point.
I think it goes to show how good Carter Vickers is, because when he's not been in a team, whoever, say it's Jens, because obviously Jens has kind of been the man to partner him. When Vickers hasn't been there, Jens has been the most senior of the defenders, if you want to call it that. And when he's played mostly with Welsh, he's not looked as good. So is it a case of just like sometimes when you have a kind of natural link up, a natural bit of cohesion between two centre backs, whenever one goes out, the whole kind of system goes? Or is it the fact that CCV is just so good, he'll make anybody playing beside him look good?
Aye, it's a good point that you make, James, and I like the fact that you're disagreeing with me, because we need that on this podcast. We don't fucking want it to be an echo chamber. But the one thing that you do say, you would take like a carbon copy of Cameron Carter Vickers. Me and Paddy have spoken about this before, and I think for centre backs, you need one who does a particular job and one who does a different type of job. And forgive me for giving you a few kind of Man United examples, like a Steve Bruce and Gary Pallister, or like a Nemanja Vidic and Rio Ferdinand. I think you need one who's more of a destroyer and one who's more of a distributor. And you've got one who always goes for the ball. You've got one who kind of drops back. I think if you've got two people who are too similar, then they don't complement each other as well. So that's kind of my thoughts on it.
Aye, no, I 100% agree with you. And as I say, obviously Jens and Starfelt, they are the ball playing defenders. But I don't know. I just think we probably should, if we're looking to progress, especially obviously in Europe, I think we could and probably should get better than the both of them to play beside Carter Vickers.
Well, obviously tomorrow night's going to show some people up for the performances. Maybe not necessarily in a bad way, because obviously Vickers hasn't travelled, so it's probably I would imagine going to be Starfelt and Jens. Now, Starfelt's not played for a bit, and as we've said, we're going to have two ball playing defenders tomorrow. I think Jens is far better on the ball than Starfelt is. Again, it's going to be a tough nut, that one tomorrow. Whoever it is playing for Real Madrid coming up against the two guys.
Aye.
Do we not think that Welsh will play tomorrow night?
I thought I would have said Welsh and Jens. I think
Surely
that's
not.
where it'll go.
Well,
No.
Starfelt hasn't kicked the ball in anger for. I think it would probably spell the end for Welsh. Maybe I'm kind of jumping the gun here, but I think if Welsh doesn't start tomorrow, because he has played a few competitive appearances this season, it could be about 6. I don't know where I plucked that figure from. I must have read it, but Welsh has been in the team. He's been playing already, so I think he would be the natural one to come in. It might be too early for Starfelt. Even Jota might not start. I think Jota has to play at some point, but definitely not ideal. Not the way that we pictured going into the Bernabeu, and it'd be like Jens and Welsh at the centre back pairing. So I guess that's a good wee segue to kind of move on to the actual preview for the Real Madrid game tomorrow night. Then I think it's an early kick-off though. We're playing for pride. There's prestige involved. We've played there before, twice before, in 1981, where we get beat 3-0, I believe. Back when Johnny Doyle was playing, even Bobby Lennox was playing in that game. And then the previous one back in 1967, a couple of weeks after winning the European Cup, we went over for Di Stefano's testimonial and we put on a very, very entertaining performance. Jinky Johnson took the plaudits, and that was a 1-0 game. But a lot of time has passed since then. And I don't know what the expectations are, Paddy. I think the game will be intriguing enough as long as we're still in it. What do you think?
It's going to be a tough one, mate. Generally, at this point in the group stages, you would expect that Real Madrid generally don't have anything to play for because they've already qualified. But I think that they still have to win tomorrow to ensure that they finish first. So that's not necessarily a good thing for us.
Yeah.
I think even the kind of B team, if you like to call it like that they'll put out, is still going to be such a strong team. So as you say, mate, this game's it's got a wee bit of prestige about it, but I think it's more about pride for us tomorrow. We don't have anything in terms of qualifying to play for, so we're really just going over there to show that we're not going to get scudded, I think, and to continue on with the philosophies of Angie's football and go over there and try and put on a show as best as we can. Obviously, Vickers being out kind of puts a bit of a dampener into the works. So whatever happens, hopefully we just don't get embarrassed. That's what I'm hoping for now.
That bad, aye. Benzema, he's out anyway. And of course, like the people who had a massive disappointment today, Kyogo and Hatate, it's an occasion for them to show their manager, like, we are proper good players. You should have picked us. So I think a lot of people will be, the football players anyway, they'll be looking forward to this occasion. James, what's your thoughts?
Carter Vickers is fit, though. I think we'd have been on to plums anyway. I think it'll be a behind the couch job. Regardless of who plays, just purely because of the fact. I mean, when the draw get made, you seen Madrid in the Bernabeu the last game. If you were picking it, you'd pick it last, as Paddy says. You're hoping they're qualified, won the group, and we'll still get something to play for. And obviously, the way it's went is the total opposite. They need to win the group, and we've got nothing to play for. So, I don't know. I feel the worst, I must admit, but it's a free hit, and there's not really much on it. So, I don't know. Just hope we can sneak something, and we don't get absolutely pumped. But nah, I feel the worst. But fingers crossed.
We will see. So it's the last European game for Celtic. What's your thoughts on the remainder of the season without any European involvement, James? It makes me think about like going back to like the mid-90s, the early 90s, where that was just par for the course. We would have a couple of games here and there, and then we'd get put out in qualifiers, whether it be the UEFA Cup and things like that. So, no European football. We're just focused now on the domestic to beat our closest rivals and then get back into the Champions League. Disappointed that we've failed so early, but a wee bit bleak. But what are you kind of glass half full, glass half empty?
Aye, pros and cons. To be fair, when the draw get made, as I said, I would have took third, no problem at all. I always thought second was a bit of a reach. I would have taken third, no questions asked. I still think we're a better team than Shakhtar. I think the two games against them kind of shown that, more so the away game. So a wee bit disappointed in that respect. That I think we probably should have got into the Europa League. But then at the same time, obviously it's a massive step up for what we're used to playing in the Champions League. And you just hope, one, that they're all the better for it next year. And 2 moving into the second half of the season, we can just knuckle down and focus on the league.
Aye. Paddy, as a fan, and how do you think the players will react to no more European football for another year?
As a fan, I'm kind of torn, mate, because I think obviously European football after Christmas is always a good thing. Clearly for Celtic, it's good for businesses in the local area. It's good for kind of the Celtic economy, if you want to call it that. But I think if you look at the kind of evolution of this team, it's possibly a good thing that we are now. We don't have any distractions, if you want to call it that, because now we can go and solely focus on the league, because we've got to the Champions League, we've participated in the Champions League, we've got the money. We need to now go back and sorry, I've got a wee bit of echo there. We need to go back and regroup, refocus, and then go and concentrate on the league, winning the league, and then gaining that other automatic qualifying spot for next season. See what we've done wrong, see what we've done right, focus on what we need to do to be better.
Do you think we've learned enough lessons from these 5 games so far in the Champions League, or do you think we could have learned more if we actually went into, dare I say, the Europa League?
No, because we obviously played the Europa League last season, dropped out of that one into the conference. So the ultimate aim for this team should be getting into the Champions League every season. So I think in that respect, we've all taken a lot of experience. So if we can keep the kind of nucleus of this squad going into next season, that squad, the management, everybody else will be all that much more experienced getting into another campaign. And if we can get another maybe 2 or 3 quality additions to back that up, that would be obviously excellent.
Fair dues. So talking about the squad and the personnel, there was a report there that we are looking to offer new contracts to Giakoumakis and Abada. Certainly Giakoumakis, I'm scared of him just wanting to leave because he's not getting a game ahead of Kyogo consistently. It's quite an intriguing battle between the two of them, even though they're kind of chalk and cheese. So it's good news that we are trying to reward him with an increased salary and an extension as well to the contract. So we're kind of protecting our investment. Whether I would imagine that Giakoumakis is enjoying it, however, a kind of professional frustration that he's not the first team striker. James, what's your thoughts on that one for Giakoumakis?
Aye, definitely well deserved anyway. I mean, anytime he comes on, even if he's quiet or if he's starting, even if he's quiet, you always feel as if he's got a goal in him, which is obviously good in a striker. I mean, he's come on leaps and bounds. I mean, you think about, I mean, he was missing for 6 months when he signed, and then obviously the Livingston penalty, the first Livingston penalty at Parkhead last season. I think a lot of people were writing him off then, and he was getting slaughtered, myself included. But obviously, to think of the turnaround in him in 12 months, it's brilliant, and long may it continue. Aye, well deserved contract. And
James, again with yourself for Abada. Abada is very, very hot and cold, but he's young. He's only 20 years old. Can he be coached? If he can be coached, then there's definitely a player there, or at least more consistency there. We might even find out if he is actually a winger or if he is going to be a striker. What's your thoughts on Abada so far? And I think he's another one who, I think he changed his agent recently. He changed his agent recently. I think we might have had a bit of fear that he might have been kind of manufacturing a move away, but hopefully not.
No, definitely. I know even between kind of us, he kind of splits opinion sometimes, but I definitely think there's an absolutely a player there. As you say, still a young guy. I mean, his numbers are brilliant for a guy his age, especially playing the amount of games that he is. I mean, he's no kind of first name in the team sheet. And his performances. I mean, you think of the games against Rangers. I mean, you can't argue with it, can you really? And obviously, he is a bit inconsistent, but I think that's just something that will come with age. So I'd sign the two of them up, no problems at all.
I've got a comment there for Frank Kennedy saying somebody needs to coach Abada on how to beat a player. I would have thought that was Harry Kewell's job. Well, Paddy, what do you think is the best that we can hope for Abada?
I think the best that we can hope for is that he matures as a player whilst he's at Celtic. Clearly, there is a good player in there. He's got some fantastic qualities. As I say, he's off the ball movement. I think it's frightening. We saw that on many an occasion. Drifting in the back, ghosting in behind defenders, getting goals, bringing us into the game. What he does on the ball is something that I've been pretty critical of. And I'm hoping, as you said, quite rightfully there, Harry Kewell should be sorting out these issues. I've stated this before. I have saw Harry Kewell at the side of the pitch when Celtic is doing their warm-ups at Celtic Park. He's doing a lot of kind of one-on-one coaching with Maeda, who we know isn't the greatest of technical players. But he's another guy like Maeda who's off the ball movement is fantastic, but it's when they're on the ball that's when things are a wee bit suspect. But back to Abada. Abada, when he's on the wing, obviously his pace is a great weapon. For me, it's just he's thinking, like, when he's up against a player, I don't think he's at the stage yet where he kind of knows what he's doing. If you see him when he gets the ball, he looks almost to be in two minds, like what today, like, and then he just crosses it. He doesn't really take a man on. He doesn't show the same kind of lightning speed when he's on the ball. So if that's something that can be coached into him and give him that bit of time to develop and mature, as I say, that would be great, because like Maeda, I don't think these two are kind of guys that we would have got if they had the entire full package. They're brilliant off the ball and they're brilliant on it. You're maybe talking a 10, 15, 20 million pound player. Yeah. So if they're going to be here for a few years, then hopefully, as I say, we can help them.
Sorry, mate.
On you, mate.
I always feel with Abada, like when Jota's get the ball, obviously throws in a wee stepper, beats a man, basically then gets back and tries and beats him again. But with Abada, and I think it's been more, well, he doesn't in the league as well, but I think it's been more apparent in Europe. Like you're saying, it's as if he's got doubts in his mind, and I feel the only trick that Abada's got to beat a man is to knock a ball 30 yards past him and then try and catch it at the byline and then swing across in. And I think there's been a few times, as I say, more so in Europe, where the defenders just step across him and it's just no working. But he needs to learn for that, and obviously time will tell if he does. But you barely ever see him like trying to beat a man, as I say, without just kicking it past him and trying to run onto it. His best work, if he's playing in the right, his best work seems to be done when the ball's in the left. And obviously, as I say, we've seen the goals where the ball's coming in, he's coming in at the back post. But there's definitely a place for him. But as you say, hopefully Harry Kewell can get him done, because if he could get some tricks and flicks and beat a man, then he'll be the next one to go for mega money.
That's a really good description, James, of how you've kind of illustrated what it's like whenever Abada's got the ball. He looks to, like, especially in Europe, he looks to just kick it down like a one-trick pony, and the defender just has to kind of step in front of him. See, whenever you watch James Forrest, whenever he collects the ball on the right wing, it's like a double threat. It can go that way, it can go that way. He's not like fantastically two-footed or whatever. He's not Lubomir Moravchik, but the defender struggles to show him one way or the other, because Forrest is equally confident at that, and the way that he gets the ball, and it's the initial shape of his body. Abada needs to be looking at that. Abada has doubts on his mind, has doubts in his mind. Aye. Well, he's young, okay. I don't know if time will tell in 5 years if he actually is going to be a winger or if he is going to be a forward. But right now, and same with kind of Maeda, that's the dilemma. These guys, a lot of people say they're more of a central forward than a wide man. But we've already get Kyoko, we've already get Giacomakis, and whenever those two people are fully fit, then they're just not going to get near there. So we need to utilise them as best as possible. But fortunately, we've got natural wide people like Haksabanovic now and Jota. I think there's still a lot more to come for Haksabanovic. I think he looked very, very exciting in his first couple of games. However, maybe the past few games now, it's not really kind of worked off for him. Not for I want to try him. The guy is 100% effort, but maybe he just needs to kind of be more deliberate and think about what he's actually doing rather than going at it 100 miles an hour, because the guy's got a lot of technical ability as well. Paddy?
Mate, I think Haksabanovic is a fantastic player. You talk about wingers, and wingers have always been the players in your team that generally is the guys that get you off your seats, they get you kind of excited to watch the football. They make things happen. They do the silky tricks, or they get the ball into the box, make the assist. And Haksabanovic has done that generally in his time so far. You know, he's strong, he's direct, he's exciting. He's got a proper he's got that good attitude. You know, that he wants to just do well in the shirt. And the majority of the times, you know, things have come after him. He's done well. He's getting assists. I think he's got a goal as well. The last game of the past.
He's no scored.
Does he no scored, right?
No, I was just going to say I'm choking to see him score, because I think that will kick his confidence on, and I think he'll run for miles when he scores. I think he's choking for a goal.
I will hopefully see that soon, mate. Okay. Sorry, I cut a text. Sorry. So he is a good player. You know, he's come in and he's played in a couple of positions. You know, he's obviously found himself kind of playing more on the left, possibly due to Jota being injured. But you look at the other side as well, and I think Jimmy Forrest has offered quite a lot since he's come back into the team. Got off fleeting appearances, substitute appearances, and you see the benefits of having the direct wingers. You know, guys running down the line, guys taking on defenders, and I like to see that in a winger. But I understand that kind of football's evolved now, and it's all about inside kind of wide guys, and they like to take the ball in and dribble and do their thing. So I think it's good that we've got a bit of balance here, you know, because we have got a lot of kind of diversity in the attack. We have got the speedy wing, the speedy forwards, shall we say, the guys that can find space at the back. We've got the guys that can do the tricks, do the skills. Jota, I think I saw a stat the day that Jota has the most dribble attempts in the Champions League behind Vinicius Junior, I think. So that's a decent stat, I think. We just need to see it a wee bit more, I think. But again, listen, we're doing well, you know.
Going to go into something entirely different, and then we can actually go back to the playing squad. But there's a certain Graham Souness who has joined TalkSport, and he's been spouting a load of nonsense. One example of the verbal diarrhea that's emitted from his mouth is that he said that Celtic should bulldoze Parkhead. That's not bad enough. He then said Celtic and the Rotten Mob should build a 100,000-seater stadium, which they should both share, a bit like your San Siro with AC Milan and Inter Milan. However, I actually believe that a lot of the stadiums in Italy are state-owned. However, it's a ridiculous idea. I don't think any people of either divide would actually entertain such a notion. But whenever Woody had spoken to me about that, he said Fergus McCann deliberately built a 60,000-seater stadium for Celtic because we would have a 10,000 advantage over our closest rivals. And that has been great, both for the match day, but also from a financial perspective, because you automatically get more revenue as long as you can actually fill the stadium. So that kind of led us on to, apart from such a ridiculous suggestion by Souness, but in terms of Fergus McCann and the legacy that he's left at Celtic, Paddy, what do you think? We've got the Lisbon Lions stand. We've got the Jock Stein stand. How palatable would it be with you if we name, say, for example, the North stand, the Fergus McCann stand?
Obviously, he was a character that polarised opinions back in the day, but I think even the most kind of ardent critics of Fergus McCann will admit that he goes down in history as one of the iconic figures in Celtic. You know, he saved the club, part of a consortium that saved the club. But obviously, he was the main figurehead. I like the idea, but I don't think that Fergus McCann himself would really kind of buy into or appreciate, because I think he said it at the time, mate, you know, he's a Celtic supporter, what he could do, as well as being a businessman, Celtic supporter and a businessman, and his aim was to save the club and make some money. He did that, and I think that's all he wanted to do, and that's all he'll ever want to do. You know, I think he enjoys probably catching Celtic when he's in Canada. If that's what he does, you know, gets up at doing them all to watch Celtic. But I think the biggest, I think the nicest kind of accolade for McCann was when he came back the last time and unfurled the flag and he get rapturous applause as opposed to another time when he unfurled the flag. But obviously there was kind of mitigating circumstances behind that. But nah, I think he's had his celebration. But I wouldn't be against it.
James, you're slightly younger than us, so you might have different memories from Fergus McCann. Certainly me and Paddy. I was at that game, the initial flag unfurling, where every man, woman and child, it seemed like were booing Fergus. But history has been kind to the man. So what was your memories of him? And do you think because he's a businessman rather than a manager or a footballer for Celtic, that's where you would draw the line, and perhaps you don't have that sentimentality that you would have for a Jockstein or a Jimmy Johnson, etc.?
Well, as a 6-year-old, it was a wee bit before my time. So, no, I agree with Paddy. Basically, my take on him is he came in, done what he said he was going to do, and then left. Time, obviously, has been massively kind to him. As Paddy says, obviously polarised opinion back then. Time has obviously been kind to him, rightly so. Again, I wouldn't be against it, but then at the same time, is there other people maybe as equally deserving? I know the idea of renaming Lennoxtown after Tommy Burns and stuff like that had been floated, but it never actually came to be. So I wouldn't be against it, but maybe some Celtic could even put out to supporters in general, maybe season book holders or supporter clubs or something like that, because I definitely wouldn't be against it.
Perhaps a statue would be a step too far. Who knows? Right. Back to this season. January exits. Paddy, who do you think is going to leave us? Your mate McCarthy, is he still going to kick about?
Nah, I think if somebody comes in and takes maybe makes an offer for McCarthy, I think he'll take it. One thing that I did see today, I know that Frank McAvenny had put a column out somewhere, and he actually, I know, I think you know what I'm going to say. He stated that he thinks that Turnbull should leave on loan because he's not getting the amount of appearances and he's stifling his growth as a football player. I wouldn't be against that, in all honesty, as long as we have a replacement, because I think that Turnbull has seriously flattered to deceive this season.
What about the guys for the comments? What do you think about Turnbull? Does he have a future at Celtic, or for the remainder of this season, can we afford to get him out on loan? What if someone gets an injury? I know that, Paddy, you're saying get in a replacement. Celtic should definitely have a statue of Tommy Burns at Lennoxtown. Don't know. Would you have the statue at Parkhead? You know, not many people would go to Lennoxtown to see it. I don't know. Either way, you'd be definitely commemorating the guy.
I think the thing with Lennoxtown and Tommy Burns, Gav, was the fact that Tommy Burns was the fact that he was highly influential in the kind of creation of Lennoxtown. You know, he was a guy who kind of went to Holland and kind of looked at the youth setups and saw how Celtic had to kind of elevate themselves for the kind of Barrafield training grounds and put a lot more kind of professionalism into our training centres with our youth teams and that. So that's something that I would most certainly be a fan of, is doing some proper recognition for Tommy Burns in that sense. I know he's got the wee plaque outside, but just for me that doesn't really say as much about the man as it should. And you know something? There's a lot of Celtic greats that don't get kind of a lot of recognition than what they should. But definitely, as that was stated before, Tommy Burns, Lennoxtown, 100%.
And January exit. So one person is saying that Turnbull is too good to go. Personally, I wouldn't let him leave. I'd be surprised if Ange actually let him go. We depended on Turnbull whenever Ange first took over at Parkhead. Obviously, you've got Matt O'Reilly and Hatates came in, but I don't know, one injury, and I would definitely want him to be kind of pushing for a starting lineup. James, is there anywhere else that you can think of? Obviously, we spoke about McCarthy. I wouldn't be surprised if he left. I also wouldn't be surprised, I hate to say it, if Juranovic, after the World Cup, might start speaking to his agent. Whether to orchestrate a move in the summer, who knows? But the guy is at an age of 27. He's a Croatian international. He plays with a lot of players who play for who enjoy more European success than what we do. I can imagine him looking at his peers, maybe getting a bit of jealousy. What's your thoughts?
See, to be honest with Juranovic, maybe a wee bit controversial, but I think as a fan base, we are quite guilty of overrating Juranovic. I don't think he's a bad player by any stretch. I think he's a good player, but I don't know. I don't ever really think I've bought into the hype as much as kind of people like to speak about him. I think he's definitely good. I think if he went, he would be a miss. I don't think he'd be a massive miss. I think we could replace him for probably you're probably talking at least 10 million, probably more. I think we could replace him for that. I don't know, Juranovic. I think he's got a cracking first touch and he's quick, but then sometimes defensively, I just don't think he does it for me. There was a couple of times, was it the last? I can't remember if it was the last game or if it was the 3-0 game at Parkhead. But it was a couple of times Ryan Kent even get the better of him, and then in Europe as well, like the Shakhtar game last week. For me, he's got to just take one for the team, take the guy out and take the booting. But at the same time, when he's good, he's really good. So I don't know. I think there's better out there than Juranovic. I wouldn't like to see him go in January, but I wouldn't be surprised if he did. And if he did, then I imagine we'd have a replacement lined up, kind of ready to go if he did.
By the way, guys, I do apologise for cutting in, but it appears to be 1-0 for Ajax. Yeah. And it is.
I'll get that in about 2 minutes. I've got the BT up.
No, it is, mate. It's just come up there. That's an interesting question, by the way. I know, as you said there, like Atletico Madrid, the interest doesn't seem to be dwindling any for Juranovic. And I would imagine that if anybody comes in for a big money offer for one of your players, the first one to draw a lot of attention will be Matt O'Reilly. So just a thought. Would you be happy selling Juranovic and O'Reilly if it meant that we could seriously invest back into the team for next year's Champions League?
Short answer, yeah. However, I think it'd be much more likely that for Juranovic to leave because of his age. With O'Reilly, like he's just went from MK Dons, where he hadn't played a massive amount of senior football. So I think he's in a good period right now with Celtic. I don't think there's any rush from him. He looks to have a good head on his shoulders, so I don't think that he would be overly ambitious at this point. I think his journey's going well. But Juranovic, I think that could be more likely. And I actually agree with James. It's a brave point to make because a lot of Celtic fans really say, oh, this guy's a 20 million player, a 25 million player. I agree with James. I know that McGinty's a big fan of Juranovic, but I think if the money's right, I would let him go. And whenever you think of Atletico Madrid, they got rid of Kieran Trippier, and a lot of people might not agree with this, but I think Kieran Trippier is a very, very good defender. I'm a big fan of him. Set pieces aside, I think he's still a very, very good player. Juranovic, I think one thing that Juranovic, that I noticed one of his deficiencies is sometimes he lacks concentration. Sometimes he can play really poor passes across the defence, and you're like, what the hell is going through your mind? It doesn't happen very often. But the one thing that he does have is recovery pace, which is very, very important. But yeah, I could see him leaving. If the money was right, I would take it.
By the way, guys, sorry to take it off subject again, but I've just had a wee post sent to me, and it's an interview with Ange earlier on today, and he basically says that the artificial pitch wasn't great for Carter Vickers. So there we are. Fuck you, Livingston.
Aye, they shouldn't be allowed in the Premier League. I think it's a shambles that they still are. It happens pretty much every game now, doesn't it?
Aye, I think Palman had said in one of the previous episodes that in Holland, in the Netherlands, that's not allowed, to plastic pitches. We can only aspire to be like the Dutch in that regard. Hopefully it'll happen one day. It's a fucking nonsense, it really is, man. Guys, one thing that caught my attention the other day was Mikey Johnson scored a belter of a goal for Victoria Guimaraes. And it got me thinking, this was last night, out of all the loan players that we've got, who do you think, circumstances permitting, if they had a second chance, who do you think could actually make a go of it second time around? However, I watched Axon this afternoon, and the guy fucking stole my thunder, I swear to God. So, just in case you think I'm copywriting a question that they brought up, but John Paul Dykes actually brought that up. I'm like, you bastard, but I'm still going to say it. But I will just caveat that with saying Axon did discuss it. So, if you were to be realistic, I'm not going to mention people like Urugidi because I think that guy's he's lucky to be a footballer. But people like Montgomery, Scales, Mikey Johnson, Ajeti, and Barkas. I think Barkas actually, funnily enough, get man of the match at the weekend. James, all of them, again, if fate somehow permitted them to actually have another opening at Parkhead, do any of them have the potential to do it?
Nah, no for me. Scales probably the one with the biggest question mark, but genuinely, on hand in heart, I would rather see any of the 3 years in the team than Mikey Johnson. He's had so many chances, he's done absolutely nothing with them. I think he's more suited. I'm not saying he's a bad player, obviously he's proven it, isn't he? But I don't think he can handle the pressure of playing for Celtic, him having to be the man to unlock a defence, having to score the goal, and then basically having to win every weekend. But Mikey Johnson, I just does not do it for me. Out of all the ones that's out on loan, Ayeti I think's finished here. Barkas never even started here. And then I don't know, Scales is probably the only one. He's purely based off the fact that he never really played a lot, and he seems to be getting, well, certainly at the start of the season he was getting rave reviews for Aberdeen.
Good comments. I think Mikey Johnson, it's an interesting one. Certainly under Neil Lennon, there was no way that he was ever going to flourish. However, sometimes whenever you see a new manager come in, then it does kind of give that player a wee bit of confidence, such as Greg Taylor. He actually, reading his interview when he was talking about getting 100 games, he said, I feel much more, like, I'm paraphrasing, but he said, I feel much more confident with this new manager who believes in me. And that's the key phrase, believes in me. And I don't know if it was a wee dig at Neil Lennon, but Ange certainly believes in Greg Taylor. So you can't overstate the benefit of having a manager who does actually have full confidence in you. Now, Paddy, this might be, you might laugh at me for this one, but we did actually speak about Vasilis Barkas. So he was the £5 million man. He'd done it to a degree in Europe and obviously domestically in Greece. We signed him for a reason, and nobody could have envisaged how badly he was at Parkhead. But now, seemingly, he's flourishing in the Eredivisie. Is it impossible? See, for Heart's already at an advanced stage anyway. What is it, 37, 38 perhaps? Say Hart, for family reasons, he wants to go back to England. And we brought back Vasilis Barkas. You've got him, you've got Seagrass. It's not impossible, or is it?
It's an interesting question. I think I would be more happy to see Seagrass given a shot over Barkas absolutely every single day of the week. But on one hand, as you say, mate, he's been over to the Eredivisie. He's performing well. He's doing well. He was a good player before he came to Celtic. Made some great saves against us as well, funnily enough. Then he comes in COVID year, and you can understand why some people's heads were down in that year, you know, especially for new guys like that. Signed for a club, they were isolated, much the same as a lot of people were. But these guys were in hotels, and the only kind of interaction they were getting was with their teammates for a couple of hours a day, and then it was back on their Todd. Still a terrible goalkeeper in all his performances, but I think the most galling thing for me was some of his comments after he left Celtic on loan. You know, stuff like I would never ever say to another goalkeeper, go and sign for Celtic, that type of thing. So based on his performances, there's a possibility, but based on his attitude, nah, he can get the fuck.
Aye. That West Ham game will live long in the memory. I know it was only a friendly, but was it the Mikel Antonio goal? I think he literally had went for a pie. He was just miles and miles off it. I don't think there's any chance that he comes back in any capacity, even as a number 2, number 3. He wouldn't want that. I don't think there's any chance he comes back to Celtic.
Was that
I
the
think
goal
that-
he went in at his near post, but his positioning was horrible.
He's stunned at the corner flag or something. I don't know what he's doing.
I think the worst one for me with Barkas was the game. I think it was at Ibrox, and I can't for the life of me remember who took the shot, but he actually dived and didn't move from his spot, kind of thing. It's horrendous. Terrible goalkeeper for Celtic. I think with the rest of them, Mikey Johnson, absolutely no chance. That boy's had his opportunities. I know he's had a lot of injuries, whatnot, but sorry, there's better players than he has been sent on his merry way for Celtic. Montgomery, still a young player, he could come back and do something. I doubt it, but I think he's still under contract. Scales, I think, is the one I would like to see coming back, but I've got a sneaking suspicion that he'll go permanently to Aberdeen. I know the manager up there likes him. He's tried to sign him before he went to Celtic, so he's clearly a fan of his, and that's only grown. Excuse me, that's only grown with every kind of week that's passing up at Aberdeen. Ajeti, he's sorry, the bastard nearly scored there. Ajeti hasn't got the mobility and the mentality to play in this team. So I don't think we're really missing out on any gem that's out of London, mate.
Mm-hmm. Honest assessment. I like it. Without digressing too much, I know that you're quite familiar with Jim Goodwin. I was describing his career so far as a manager to one of my mates. Do you think that he's too industrial as a manager in terms of his philosophy to ever be considered in years to come a potential Celtic manager?
No, I don't think you can say that at this point. He's still a relatively kind of youngish manager. I would never ever have thought that a guy like Gordon Strachan could have been a Celtic manager and have did so well as a Celtic manager. So there's a chance for everybody. I just think it's good to know that he's at a massive club in Scotland. He's got a decent kind of transfer set up there as well. He's brought in a few right good players. The big guy, Majowski up front, he looks to be a good addition. The guy they called the Duck seems to be a bit of a fan favourite up there. So he's doing well up there anyway. So, but who knows what the future holds.
Fair dues. Right, guys, so we've got Real Madrid tomorrow night, as we spoke about, 5:45 kickoff. We will see what transpires. And we'll try and do a post-match review if we can. And then, just kind of to sum up before we go to Australia, we've got 3 more league games. Dundee United this Saturday at home, Motherwell away on the Wednesday, and then the following Saturday, Ross County back at Celtic Park. And before you know it, we're going to be in Australia playing Sydney and Everton. That'll be an interesting one during the World Cup. But happy days. I hope the Japanese boys aren't too disappointed. But they've got the occasion tomorrow night to kind of put things right and restore a bit of pride. Guys, any final thoughts from yourselves before we wrap it up and we all tune in to watch Ajax tank the Rotten Mob?
Hope Stephen Welsh has a game of his life tomorrow.
I hope we don't get scudded tomorrow. Really. And by the way, can I just say there's a lot of reports coming out today about the Spanish police being quite heavy-handed with the supporters. So I hope everybody that's made the trip over to Madrid, which is quite a substantial amount, by the way, they're all safe, they're all having a good time, and hopefully maybe good it's hurted or anything or whatever.
Strachan's laptop. He said, great point about my dad, Paddy.
He was an asshole. No, it's joking.
Aye, James, I totally echo those sentiments. Hope Welsh has the game of his life tomorrow. And if he does, then maybe we might not actually sign that guy for the usual suspects, Kobayashi. Right, guys, we'll wrap it up. To the viewers, thanks very, very much for tuning in. I hope you all enjoyed the Ajax game and, of course, the Real Madrid game tomorrow night. We will do a post-match review. But if you've not done it already, give us that like. Thank you very much. And thank you so much for being in the journey to get to 1,000 subscribers. That was a brilliant milestone, and really happy to actually see it happening during the live episode. So happy days. But thanks very much, and we'll catch you tomorrow night.
Catch you.
Catch you.